To welcome Ahmed Tawahina to join us and to say some words to us on
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. I'm really delighted talking about very important issue, and I should thank Dr. Sarah for her generous invitation and for helping me to cross the borders and sharing you some of our experiences as Palestinians living in a ghetto called Gaza Strip. First of all, I think hatredness is a normal human being emotions which couldn't be healed totally. What is needed to be healed is the pathological aspect of it. Without hatredness, human beings wouldn't be capable to experience love. So these dialectical relationships between these opposite emotions and feelings are something reflecting facts among all of us as human beings. And when it comes to talk about hatredness in precise between Palestinians and Israelis, we have to consider very important aspects. Of course, the time wouldn't be sufficient to talk about all these aspects. Rather, I will take some of the examples. If I go back today to Gaza and tell my people, we have to sit together and to discuss practical approaches to figure out how we could heal hatredness. I'm sure the reactions of the people would be the following. First, we have to concern about most priorities in our life, because life in Gaza is trauma in itself. Far away from military incursions, far away from the blockade, far away from all these daily hassles taking place, which are affecting every single individual in the Gaza Strip. So hatredness as an emotion, for me, is a kind of an outcome. And to study these outcomes, to be able to deal with them effectively, we must study together the origins of these emotions. Otherwise, we would continue making all these theoretical explanations in relation to these aspects. I keep asking myself while listening to those wonderful presentations, if we meet in 5 years' time ahead discussing the same issue, what would be the inputs? Are we going to talk about same stereotypical issues? As long as hatredness is an outcome, we should study together how to develop a preventive measures for the pathological hatredness rather than healing of it. I don't have answers, and I am not here for miracles. Rather, I'm here to tell you some factual aspects of the population living in the Gaza Strip. In Gaza, the international community, in order to minimize their guilty feelings toward the human beings over there, they say after one of the wars, oh, Gazans are in need for food. We should send them food. Food doesn't resolve problems. They are in a bad need for medication. We should send them medication. It doesn't solve the problem as well. I can tell you frankly, what solved the problems is that Palestinians would gain their freedom. They would gain the access, an easy access to develop their normal identity. The dilemma we do have as Palestinians that we are prevented to be attached to the main source of our identity, which is the land of Palestine. I ask so many Palestinians who are living in exile, spend their life outside. I ask them this question: what do you wish at the end of your life? Many of them say, a grave in Palestine. I need my body to be hanged by the land of Palestine. This is the crucial issue. Neither humanitarian aid nor food would solve the problem. Rather, we have to investigate what causes the problem. When you ask any Palestinians, where do you get your identity from? I'm sure they will tell you immediately, from the land of Palestine. In Gaza Strip, 80% of the entire population are refugees. And they are still living in a refugee camp. When you ask them after 60 years of displacement, where you are from, they say, I'm from Fallujah, I'm from Hamama, I'm from Al-Majda, which are the names of villages and cities they lived and grew up in Palestine. So how can we help those people to overcome their hatredness? In therapy, I have been asked so many questions about how can we practice. I am a psychotherapist by profession. How we do practice psychotherapy with a population like Gazans? I said psychotherapy is totally different from the approaches and techniques we have studied in books, where they have been developed somewhere in the States or Canada, Australia, Switzerland, elsewhere. And I can give you some examples. In 1992, I went to a training program in the States where I had been trained on using hypnotherapy. It's called a safe place technique. It has been approved that this type of techniques is very helpful for traumatized people. I said, this is very interesting. I have to study how we practice hypnotherapy to help the entire population. We are a traumatized nation. After the training, I get back to Gaza. And I started a new technique with an ex-political prisoner who spent 5 years in Israeli prisons, where he had maltreated and tortured severely. And I said, listen, I'm going to use a new technique with you. Do you mind? He said, you can use whatever you want as long as you are going to help me. I said, okay. This technique is called a safe place, where I would ask you first to think of a safe place. And the moment you find a safe place in your life, you give me a sign so we continue carrying out. I will spend a few minutes in silence, waiting for my client to find a safe place. And then the answer came out throughout his tears. And I said, what's gone wrong with you? He said, I couldn't find a safe place. What do you mean by saying safe place? I'm not safe at home. I'm not safe in the street. I don't feel safe in my relationships with others. And then suddenly I found myself to totally helpless. My technique doesn't work. This client couldn't find a safe place. So what would be the next step? This is just an example to figure out that majority of the psychotherapeutic techniques that have been developed somewhere should be desensitized to the culture where refugees are living under ongoing trauma. When I have been asked, what is your definition as a Palestinian professional for trauma? I say, forget about the DSM and all these political scientific criteria for definition. Sorry to say that, but this is the truth. This is the way I perceive it. Trauma, according to American criteria, Europeans as well, is an experience that beyond the human being capacity to tolerate. It's an event where life goes in harmony and suddenly it has breakdown. This is the trauma. Then people would go back to live their normal life with some difficulties. Then all psychotherapeutic techniques develop is to help people to heal all these nightmares, bad thoughts about how to cope with their trauma. I'll tell you my definition for trauma in Gaza. Trauma in our society is a status in between life and death. You are neither alive nor died. This is the trauma. And the real challenge is to help people how to cope with this very critical position. That's why, once again, back to the hatred. I do believe that we should start to develop practical approaches, to develop a preventive methodologies where the future generations of Palestinians and Israelis will be capable to acknowledge each other, to develop a rational identity about whom they are. Israel, it's a conflict between two victims, you know. Each one is committing himself to the victimization. Otherwise, he would be, I'm a victim. The Palestinians said, I'm a victim as well. So, what would be the solution? The two victims would continue fighting and killing each other. Based on facts on ground, nowadays, I can tell you frankly that I am not optimistic. Why I'm saying this? I take the example of the last 3 wars launched against Gaza and how the escalation of violence and killings increases. 2009, few Palestinians were killed, few Israelis were killed as well. 2012, some hundred of Palestinians were killed. The indicator is going up. In 2014, some thousands of Palestinians were killed. Some tens of Israelis were killed. So the escalation of violence, if you would use this as an indicator for the hatredness, I would say that hatredness is increasing as long as in Gaza nowadays we are trying to develop coping mechanisms for the coming war. Because people are anticipating that life after the coming war would be a new displacement, a new uprooting. People are thinking, and this is the scenario where some hundreds of thousands of Gazans should be displaced towards Sinai Desert. This is the way that people are thinking of. Back again to the socio-political, religious, social, collect whatever you want, context. Because studying the context will help us to figure out reasons behind hatredness, behind aggression, behind this kind of violence escalation. Without this, we may come together in some years' time and talk about same things, which wouldn't be helpful. What I do believe that we should invest in our coming generations back again. Why I'm saying this? I say this because I have so many examples in our life as Palestinians, and I can give you one of these very clear examples. The suicidal bombers, the Palestinian suicidal bombers, who came and exploded themselves in Jerusalem here, are the children of the first Intifada. Why they have developed such a mental schemata? Why they have becoming highly violent? I can tell you throughout my clinical experience as well. It's not a question of justifying what happened, rather reflecting the facts on the ground. During the first Intifada, the Israeli army tried to stop the Intifada by using different means. One of them was to break down the bones of the arms of children, so they wouldn't be capable to throw stones over the Israeli soldiers. The moment the Israeli troops got the instruction, they started to invade schools in Gaza Strip and break down the bones of the arms of the children. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinian children experienced this type of trauma. Sorry?
They also use the body parts for the Palestinians.
Those people, those children started to identify that they are not protected by anybody else. Their parents are powerless, they couldn't protect them. Then they started to think of their own way of protecting themselves. The only way they find to protect themselves is to become violent. So if violence is going to be escalated and increased, this circle of violence should be stopped in order to prevent hatredness.
How do you stop?
Thank you. Talking about how, as I said, I don't have a clear answers, rather I have so many questions. I'll tell you one of my personal experiences on how. When I was a child at the age of 12, my school principal was a courageous man who decided to launch a joint summer camp activity with some Israeli schools in Ashdod and Ashdod. And we came together, Israeli and Palestinian students. We spent a week on the beach of Ashdod. And I was very eager to come and see who are the Israelis. The moment I arrived, I found people having the same color of my skin, same color of my eyes, same color of my hair. We can talk with each other. We can enjoy exchanging stories about our lives. But unfortunately, this experience has immediately stopped, as if there is somebody behind saying that people shouldn't come together with themselves. Another example, where most recently, after the Oslo Agreement, a school was built in the northern part of Gaza Strip. It's called International American School. This school was established to absorb Palestinian and Israeli students to live together, to study together, to have the same curriculum, to start building an identity where they could live the togetherness, the acknowledging of others is something crucial. This school was totally demolished. So, we're talking about how we should we should put students from Gaza in contact with their peers in Israel. When my oldest son finished his high school, he asked me to which university I should apply. I said, you should apply to one of the Israeli universities. And he was not believing in what I said. I'm not going to be accepted. I said, you have to try. My second son was looking for a good school, and there is an international school here in Tel Aviv, near Tel Aviv. I said, you go and apply for this school, which he did. And he was interviewed, and he managed. At the last moment, he was not able to get a permit to come to the school. When talking about how we should put these new generations together, where they should develop a common understanding for each other. I thank you for your patience and your full attention. I will be honored and pleased to answer any of your